Welcome to another episode of Auxano Bytes. Today, we have with us Sameer Nigam, an alumnus of HBTI and also IIM Ahmedabad. Besides this, he's also a keen golfer. And he founded Stratbeans Consulting, which is one of the unsung heroes of the startup ecosystem. A completely bootstrapped, profitable entity whose top line has grown more than 4 times in 5 years with an enviable, profitable track record. Stratbeans is a leading player in the LMS ecosystem and also the leading reseller of a tool which is used in the LMS. Welcome, Sameer. We are very glad to have you, in Auxano Bytes.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thanks for having me here. Thank you for the nice introduction and a welcome message.
Great. Sameer, as a VC, we look at opportunities which come in play, but you're an entrepreneur and you have not chased venture capital funds in building Stratbeans over the last few years. So why don't you share how did you go about doing that?
Okay, so your question is more like why I didn't share the venture capital. So it never occurred to me when I started the business. And the idea of building the business was more to have do some kind of setup where I'm able to do most of the decision making and make it profitable, make it useful to customers. So in all that agenda, I don't remember in the initial days that I was making any pitch for the investors. I was mostly making pitch for customers. So the idea of building business was very different. I see venture funding as very important component, but I see it in the same bucket where I would find a debt funding. So it's a support system for a business, but it's not one of the definite ways in which one can start a business. And I can tell you that there are so many businesses in India which are probably less talked about, but they are larger in number, who haven't taken venture capital, but actually seen at business as a way of living or a lifestyle or a type of profession. So the importance of venture is definitely there where the business needs it, but otherwise I also think it can many times hamper the success of a business. So whom are you going to chase, the customer or the venture capitalist? That's a decision that people have to make. And there are good reasons on both the sides. And from the point that I started it, I think I had this love for technology and exhilaration for selling something useful. And I was enjoying doing that even in the work environment where I was working with TCS and then later with Genpact. But I wanted to learn more. And like I said, I wanted to be a bigger part of the decision making. And that made me not only go for higher education, do MBA and understand business, but then after that, it was a natural outcome of that to start a business and actually what I learned in business school, put it on the ground. So that's my take on why I didn't take venture funding.
Yeah, very out of the box and very contrarian view or approach. For the benefit of all of us, let me also share one more secret sauce or one more fact which will, if you know. He did his MBA, a 2-year course, as he was being a 2-time dad. So if I can use a word, he was on the right of 30s when he got into a 2-year MBA, and that's an inspiration to quite a few folks at the time when you did. So how did you go about doing that?
So when you're about 30, and if you look at most of us, chances are that you're doing some work. You have got a couple of maybe 7-8 years under you as experience, pretty safe position to be in. And but it's also one of the places where you could get stuck, and it could become something which you like, you stop learning at that point. Um, and and I think, at that stage, whenever I talk to, youngsters today, even, I mean, people who are crossing 30, I always give them this advice that that could be another planning stage for your life. I try to look at life in parts. So, I don't believe that one can be same person, all through the years. So I start saying, hey, now you have to start planning something different. The best thing is to totally change what you are doing, because um, that's when you can really enjoy. I mean, people say they will learn a lot, but I'll say that you can really enjoy life then. Otherwise, people really start having what is called middle age crisis, because that's born out of the security that you get, and also the sense that you start comparing yourself, that have I achieved enough, have I not? So why don't you burn all your balance sheets and go to a business school and start as a student? Okay, saying that is easy, but then chances are that you're deep into a lot of responsibilities also. um, Very likely you're in a relationship, or you are already married. As you rightly said, I had a kid also at that point. So it's a little stressful on those things, but you tackle those things, and most of the times, if you lay it down clearly in front of all the people, actually, your whomever you are with, your parents, your spouse, they support you, and it's important to take their support. And especially for the people who are going to start a business, it's a skill they need to have. So it's probably the first first thing you learn, um, how to how to make a business plan. I think the business plan you make at that stage is mostly for um, getting all your ducks in a row and making sure that people agree to the misadventure that you are on, because it's a misadventure at that stage, when you leave a job which is pretty good and you start studying. And I connect it to my starting a business also. So those are definite big bumps in the route of your train, if you look at it this way. And the train has a lot of coaches, and they also feel the bumps, so it's important to bring them along. So I think it's a difficult decision, but very, very rewarding one. If you don't do it, it's a bad idea. Do something which is different, change something when you're 30, and then change again at 40.
So, in fact, you're actually unticking all the, the boxes which are being ticked, and, you're saying the playbook, you're saying this is Sameer's playbook. Why don't you have a, peek into it, and, have this playbook in play going forward? Very interesting, very interesting, very inspiring, let me put it that way. Moving on, so when you started Stratbeans, and how were the early days, and when you embarked on this journey?
So how I used to keep a diary at that time, regularly write it there. So I sometimes look at that and I realize that what I remember of early days is very different from what they actually were. So first, I'll tell you what I normally feel about them. So they look very nostalgic in sepia print. It looks like somebody's doing all the smart work and something is building up. It looks like a kind of a trend which can be seen, but I think it was very much chaotic when I look at my diaries at that time. So there was no clarity, and the clarity. So there were so many ideas I was working on, and my business was pretty much opportunistic. So anything technology, and if a customer is there, then I think I'll switch my business to try and serve that. Very few people, a lot of friends I used to talk to, but very few people who were part of the business. Very limited capital. So I think one of the priorities was always to do anything but save money. So even if I have to travel, I can just travel. I'll have to plan how to do 5 meetings in that. Otherwise, how will I get the ROI? And but there was a lot more enthusiasm. There was a lot more energy. I can surely say that. It was a lot of fun also, but there were there were serious pressures also. I'm very happy that we could manage that, and we are past that stage. It was a tougher stage, not only for the business but also for the family, for parents. I think the biggest challenge in any idea would be, Brijesh, you're a finance person, so I think uncertainty is more seen as a risk in finance, isn't it? I mean, the volatility is related to risk. So so it was not predictable in the early days. I didn't know what would be my next quarter's revenue, which I know now to a fair degree. So I think that has changed a lot, and that has sort of changed our thinking a lot. So we are now able to plan longer terms. We can plan for 2 years now, very seriously. That early days we used to only plan for maybe 2 3 months, maybe just 1 month. So a lot has changed, but I think those were the days which put all the foundation in place. I could collect a very good team, and I think the support of those people along the way has been great. So I will like to recognize Prasoon and Pradeep, who are my co-founders and very good friends. So I think the fun of doing business was still the same at that time. We get little lesser time now to hang out together, but I think we are doing our parts in the business. So yeah, those are the early days.
So you're saying you're still tap dancing to work, right?
I'm not sure what you mean by that, but yeah, I when it comes to dancing, I may have to left feet. And by the way, I'm planning to learn dancing this year. Uh, you know, just on a lighter note.
Great. So taking it forward, so once you were clear on the business and moving forward, so how has the business plan evolved and how has the business pivoted?
Okay, so so okay, we didn't start with a business plan per se. The business plan was more like a sales plan. I had a couple of things. I think so. So I started my business in January of 2008. The first thing I tried to do was to figure out what to write on our website. That what do we do? So it was little of a like a broader picture, something around what we do, what we can do around IT, or what we can do around consulting, those kind of things. But by and by, the way the traction and the customers happened, that sort of started giving a shape to the business. And at some point, there was a business plan. I think it was after 3 years of starting the business. And now that business plan actually changed quite a lot when some smarter people joined in the organization. I think the major changes which happened were our focus shifted from services to products, and to create though we haven't taken venture funding, but I think the idea of valuation or profitability that started becoming more prominent later on. The the the, the numbers became important. It was not about just the revenue, but um, how how much EBITDA we have. Those kind of things started making sense. So to that, actually, a very clear pivot happened at I would place it around year 2015, if you would, where we were sort of totally around um, learning management and workforce um, training and performance support, those kind of things. So at that point, I'll say we knew what we don't want to do. So, and I think then that was very clear. Then these are the four things we want to do. So that was a pivot time for me in 2015. Now with that, our workforce also changed. The kind of sales team we had totally, overnight became a different one. And then we had a very different type of needs for people. We started having more of business analysts, etc. So the business plan didn't stay the same. Sorry. And right now, as I said, we started drafting a new strategy for ourselves, more like a refined version of what we should do in next 3 years. That started in October this last year. and we're going to finalize it in May sometime, which will have more component of international business into our business plan actually. So yeah, so thanks for asking this question. It sort of puts everything in a line right now.
No, so one more, you don't have a business plan. We had a business plan after 3 years. You had a sales plan. So you're actually, unticking lot of the, check boxes. So one more in the Stratbeans way of, you know,
I
moving,
must,
moving
I
forward.
must, if you allow me, I must correct you just a little bit. Um, I had a business plan around age 30. I told you that was the business plan for the spouse and the parents and everyone. It was not a business plan for investors. So it was to garner their support that they should keep funding me or allow me to use their credit cards. So I had a business plan, Pajesh.
No, very refreshing, and in the current ecosystem where uh, one looks at external source, you looked internal and sought made a business plan for life and integrated the life plan, to the enterprise plan. So very, very interesting. A lot of takeaways, in this chat with you. So again, continue to that. What made you stick to the businesses, and what was your first major success, which you cherish, and which gave you encouragement to continue?
So what made me stick? That's a good one. Well, okay. See, once I started the business, it was pretty clear that I wanted to stick around. There was no feeling that I would like to go back, do anything differently. This looks like what I was, it looks like more natural of me to picture myself as a businessman. Though if you really ask me, I wanted to be an Air Force pilot if you go back long back. So okay, so life is like that. Today I'm very satisfied with the way I am. I want to be a businessman. I want to continue doing that. And when you say first major success, there were a lot of successes which I would have counted as major for me. But I think I still uh, recognize that one which we celebrated together as a company. So that was more like, some kind of a marker for us, like hitting our first million US dollar mark in revenue. And then so there was a conference internationally somewhere, and we took a couple of our key people and all the co-founders. We went to a beach. We sort of had some party, and it was very emotional moment for everyone because that was a time when we sort of thought that this is a big target we have achieved. This looked like a very stable point in our life, and the biggest feeling was that all of us were together doing silly things in a foreign country at a beachside. The trigger to that was a collection of account renewals, business gains that year, and but I must say that the first time when I sold my first deal I made, that was a big time for me. I mean, that happened after 8 months of starting the business actually. So there are a lot of things I celebrated that way, but I've forgotten them. But when you say um, the first major success, this should be my first major success because I still remember it, and it's not only me. If you ask Prasoon or Pradeep also, they'll probably remember that moment. Yeah, so that was it. I still cherish it. And again, to your question that why I sticked around, there are a lot of things in this lifestyle which are pretty interesting. One is, of course, you're meeting a lot of people. So I like meeting a lot of people, and travel is what I like to, and so I get to do that a lot. Plus, there's a lot of possibility in the future also in this lifestyle. I think decision making and having your own control on time, that comes after a stage when you have a financial freedom. And I think after achieving financial freedom, sometimes it becomes boring, if you are not doing your own business because the money is coming to you, but you're not controlling it. So right now, when I do business, I can actually choose how the money comes to me. So I can shape it. And you don't want to retire, really. I mean, typically it's a lot more fun to be still playing the game, hopefully also watching others play it. So I right now enjoy a lot when we find someone from the leadership team who can come forward and do something good. They share their stories. We celebrate their success more often than anything that we do as founders now. So yeah. So I think that's been pretty interesting so far. The first major success to what we are doing today.
So the first success came between the eighth and the ninth month, the little one, and a slightly bigger one came, after some time. A million mark is not a bad is not a bad, you know. I think it's a good one to actually have memories about, right? So one more thing, which you can also talk about it, how you pivoted the business over a period of time.
So how we have pivoted it. Okay, so the easiest thing to do in a business like a bootstrap business is to start something which is a service. The second thing you can do is try to do the service as a scale. And the idea of a scale and a service is that you should have many people. Now, that doesn't change your profitability a lot. But what it does is that suddenly, because the people are, having their own energy. So therefore, you can do many more things, maybe with the same small profit. So we did this that same way also. So we sort of increased our team size. We started doing a lot more services. One thing was very clear: we were only going after large corporates. So I think there was a little bit of learning we were getting from the discipline of these corporates themselves. And then we try to try to seek an independent on idea on, what should we do so that it changes dramatically. And that at that stage, our CTO, he made a suggestion. He said that, you know what, we should stop services and start doing products only. I think he had this fancy idea. It was fancy for that time. We gave it a chance. We went back to our existing customers. To your point, how did we pivot? So we went them back to them and we asked them that, you know what, we are doing these services for you. How about the related product if we also do it for you? Which in our case was a learning management platform or a testing platform, those kind of things we wanted to do for them. Some of them said, okay, yes, do it. We were also sure that yes may mean uh, a revenue paying customer, not just an idea. So we took that advice. We created a product. So, luckily, that product was successful. We were able to sell many copies of that. Now, when that happened, we perfected that product. We went back to drawing boards, and we actually spent 1.5 years without trying to sell more of it. We just tried to perfect it. So within no time, we were slightly ahead of the market. And around 2015, we were pretty good in mobile devices space of the LMS distribution. So when we saw that happening, then we sort of started converging around it. We set up a specific team just to sell that, and that helped. And our customers, they made referrals to other corporate partners, and that way we were able to draw traction here. The second thing which happened for us was that we had a tie-up with a very respectable international organization whom we actually tied up in 2013. And right now they are one of the top two in the learning content creation space. So we became their go-to market channel in India. We were able to sort of make them market leader in India at least, and they became global market leader also because they were that good. So I think that helped us get uh, like a stronger pipeline into the learning space only, and more opportunity to cross sell also to sell for our partner, to sell our own products. And that then became our final strategy. Right now, we are working on just the same. Now we are taking our products to international market, just refining them for proper service in those locations, local tastes for those geographies, etc. And that's probably going to be the plan for next 3 years, but who knows? It may change after 2 years. COVID has been a big enabler. We supported a lot of organizations during that time, and during that time, our revenue also jumped up dramatically. In the first year of COVID, when we closed our book, 67% increase in the revenue we got that year. And that sort of gave us confidence that we are being useful in the society. We gave solutions for organizations to train people who are actually sitting out of their home. So I think the strength of investment in mobile devices was very useful at that point. So yeah, so we intend to continue doing that now.
So you actually preempted the question, what, how you're seeing Stratbeans growing and what plans for expansion.
Oh, did I? Okay.
You got the flow of it. So this is fab. So if for enterprises and to the outside world who does not know what Stratbeans is or what Stratbeans can do, if you can say it in say 2 sentences, that can be great.
What's Stratbeans in 2 sentences?
Yeah. This is an elevator pitch.
Oh, elevator pitch. Oh, okay. Now pitch to whom? Oh, other businesses? Okay, so I really believe that this is something that we try to do as a business. We believe in the power of manifestation. We try to see a dream and try to make it come true. Along the way, we try to be predictable. I think this is one of the core thing we also hire people on. So we try to see the traits which make a person predictable. Also, for the top management team, I think one thing we really want to make sure we do, and hopefully our teams learn from us, is to be hands-on. Now, solving a problem for a business, the kind of B2B business we are in, requires us to understand our products a lot more than the customers. Also, research the market a lot more. So, I would suggest to people that they should invest a lot of time in learning, not only just their solution, but also the ecosystem, the entire ecosystem. There's nothing better than doing that, and that is definitely a survival strategy as well, because things may change, but if you are the go-to person for a certain market, then you'll definitely have a lot of like business coming your way by referral itself. The elevator pitch, if you sort of extend it to the customer, we sell the best learning management system on this planet, Brajesh, trust me. And we mean it, because it's not just that we see it as a set of services. We try to connect it to how people learn and how people behave. And this is something which is also where, if you would, um, a lot of psychological analysis is going in. And it's not very easy to train people. It's very easy to call what is there as a artificial intelligence, but what about the natural intelligence? How can you make it sharper? Now it's all about taste, it's all about mood, it's all about technology also. So we try to play the part in the technology, but we try to also understand how the human mind really works. So we are creating some extraordinary products. I'll just name one for you, where we are working with an organization which helps people with handicaps. So we have a solution through which you could um, train people and help them make their life better, even if they were visually handicapped, or if they couldn't even hear properly. Through gestures, even if you can't hear, there's a lot of advanced technology that we use to communicate to people with that kind of situation also. So those are the things we'll continue doing. And the piece of advice is to sort of understand your market and extend it.
So on the piece of advice, which you have received in your career, which changed your perspective or has given direction which you never thought of?
Okay. So I think the piece of advice, it was not a piece of advice, it was more like a support that I got at a point of weakness, or let's say a low moment, was that um, uh, my dad told me that some of your Some of the God's best gifts are unanswered prayers. So don't don't try to get everything that you are praying. Let it manifest. So stick to the situation, be in the moment. I think this is what is really helping me, even decision to decision, even project to project. And I think that is also, if you look at it deeply, then what it means is that um, life is beautiful just like that. Don't take yourself too seriously, isn't it? So that's the advice I like to quote at this point.
Interesting. Okay, any closing remark or you want to share, talk, mention?
Okay, so definitely. So I think stay here. Keep doing the good work, Brijesh, and thanks for inviting me, especially representing that part of the business, which is probably not uh, venture funded and therefore not talked about much in the news. But I would say that this can be a sure shot way if you follow this kind of business, the way we are doing business in Bootstrap, the way we are doing it right now. Um, you are certainly sure that no business can fail this way if you start doing a bootstrap kind of a business and you focus on selling. And this is definitely my advice for people to consider, even younger folks who are trying to start new businesses, rather than chasing and trying to satisfy a third party venture capitalist. There is a higher and immediate success possible for you if you can understand how the people around you, they need a product and create something for them. So talk to customer more often than the banks or the investors. That's my advice. But I don't mean no disrespect to the investing community where you're from. But my idea is that people can find it as a very fulfilling profession if they sort of did it just the good old Indian business style. um, धंधा इसको बोलते हैं. So so that's my closing remark.
Great, Sameer. Thanks for being there. And to all out there, Stratbeans Consulting is a bootstrapped, growing enterprise company in the learning management system space. And a lot more happening on the product side where it resonates with our thesis of having a subscription or a secular income. So all those who want to get invest or want to say make Sameer and his team bite the bullet, more about Stratbeans now. So once again, Sameer, thanks for sharing very openly and very you know and I'll say creating a new playbook of how to go about in the entrepreneurship journey. Very exciting, and thanks for sharing all of that with us. Thank you.
Bye bye, Rajesh.